Halloween is gonna look different this year for obvious reasons, but that doesn't mean that we still can't get festive and have fun, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to share with you one of my favorite last-minute easy Halloween makeup looks, a vampire victim. The reason why I love this Halloween costume is because you can customize it however you want. You can wear whatever clothes you want, you can do whatever makeup you want. But the reason why this is a particularly convenient costume for this year is that it's mask-friendly. All of the main elements still show when you're wearing a mask that covers more than half of your face. And I promise you, this is not hard. This is like special effects makeup 101, super beginner style. So we'll get into that, but first, if you're new here, hi, my name is Miranda. Welcome to my channel where we talk all things budget beauty. If that sounds interesting to you, then become the newest member of the Slashed Squad. Whoa, we are really the Slashed Squad today. By hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon. Let's get into it before I make any more puns. So I'm gonna prime my eye with the e.l.f. Putty Eye Primer. I'm gonna bring the primer on my lower lash line as well because I'm gonna be smoking this out all around. Now this is gonna be a little bit of a sneak peek into my next video, but I'm gonna be using the new Revolution Nightmare Before Christmas Sally eyeshadow palette. I cannot wait to share the rest of this collection with you. It is so cool. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and dip into Play Dead, which is sort of a light mauve shade, and that's gonna go all over the lids. And I'm also gonna be putting that in my lower lash line area as well, kind of deepening up the under eye, something that we normally don't do. Next, I'm going into this very appropriately named red shade. It's called Vampire Teddy, and I'm gonna pack that pretty close to my lash line. It's not gonna be a thin line though. We are going to smoke it out. And just for context, I'm gonna be putting black liner over it, so you do want it to show past the liner. So I'm just building that up for color, and again, gonna be going underneath the lower lash line as well. Now with a small blending brush, I'm gonna add a little bit of the red to it, and then start blending that out so it just kind of fades in to that mauve shade. Next, I'm going to take a black eyeliner. This is the Kokie Cosmetics Velvet Smooth Eyeliner in Deepest Black. And first I'm gonna tightline with it. And I'm actually going top and bottom waterline today. And now I'm going to apply the black liner in a relatively thin black line and lower lash line. Doesn't have to be perfect because then we are going to blend it out with a small brush, whatever you've got that can get up close to the lash line. And then I'm just gonna kind of blur it and smudge it and smoke it. So here's where I'm at with the eyeliner, and that's where I'm stopping, and we'll get a little bit more of a blend going with the shadow in just a second. Let me go ahead and do my other eye. Would you believe me if I told you that this is how I did my eyeliner when I was emo? Now going back into the palette, I'm gonna dip into this dark brown called Frightful, and just using a smudge brush, I'm gonna go over the border of the eyeliner that I just smudged out, and this will help it not be as much of a stark difference between the black and then the red. So I'm overlapping that with the black liner and then sort of smudging and blending out. You can see the difference between the two eyes. This one just looks a little bit more cohesive. And it's okay if while you're blending, the red starts to sort of fade. You can deepen it up if you want to, but my point with the red eyeshadow is not necessarily to make it look like I'm wearing red makeup. It's to make it look like my eyes are irritated and starting to turn into a monster. To finish off the eyes, I'll add a generous coat of mascara. This is the Believe Beauty Volumin'eyes mascara, one of my favorites. But I am gonna go pretty hard with it. You could also add falsies, but I think that might cover up a lot of the red effect. I'm good with how these eyes look, so let's move on to the vampire bite. To create our vampire bite and fake wound, you're gonna need two things that they sell at every Halloween store: liquid latex and bloody scab. Now this is different from fake blood because it's not runny, it's a little bit more congealed and sort of a gel-like consistency, so the scab part is important. But I got both of these at my local Spirit Halloween store. They were both $3.99, super cheap. So starting out, we're gonna use the liquid latex, and this is going to create the appearance of ripped skin or bitten into skin. And to apply this to the skin, I'm just gonna be using a cotton swab or Q-tip. Now, I highly suggest you already pick out the shirt you're gonna wear with this look so that way your bites don't get covered by what you're wearing. So I'm gonna start by placing this where I want my bites to be. And you do want this to be a little bit bigger than what the bite is actually gonna look like, because it'll give us room to kind of tear at it and blend it into the skin. So that's where my 2 bites are gonna be. Now we're going to let this completely dry. We are going to be layering this up. The more layers we add, the more thick and sort of obvious the tearing will look. So just go ahead and hang tight as that dries. It looks like it's doing a pretty good job drying. So I'm gonna go in with my second layer now. And with each layer, you want to stay within the lines of the previous layer. So basically you don't want to do the same size each time, so that way it tapers off and it kind of blends into the skin better. You're really wanting to thicken up the center. So there's where we're at now. And now we're gonna let that dry. While this layer is drying, I am actually gonna drag out the edges slightly, so that way it doesn't just look like 2 little dots. Kind of forgot to do that on the first one. And as it's drying, you should sort of feel it kind of tightening on the skin just a little bit. And you can see it's kind of starting to wrinkle up and create that second skin layer. I want to go for 1 more layer, just so there's enough texture there to really play with. And remember, we're not covering the whole thing each time, really focusing on the center so that the edges stay thinner and more blended out. Okay, both spots are now dry. Now before I tear them up and add the blood, I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of foundation over them, because not everybody's skin is this color. So I'm just gonna pat the foundation over it, and it's still gonna have a little bit of a discoloration, but it's just not going to be as obvious. And we'll also be adding red eyeshadow and making it look a little irritated. So it's okay if you can still clearly see the latex color. This just kind of helps it blend a teensy bit better. Now to create the tears, I'm going to be using a pair of sharp tweezers. You can use like normal tweezers. You could also use a toothpick, but you just have to be so careful that you don't actually nick your skin, which is why I think tweezers are good, because you can start with them closed and then just let them open and it'll kind of start tearing at the latex. I'm putting the tweezers right in the middle and then opening them. And you can see it's starting to pull at the latex. There we go, look at that. And then you'll just go ahead and keep picking at it until we have a little bit more of an obvious hole. Okay, so that's looking good. I think I wanna make it a little bigger. You also wanna leave room to, like, you know, add the blood and everything. So making it a little bit on the bigger side is not a bad thing. And this is why it was important to make such a big area with the latex, bigger than the actual bite, because you don't want to create your bite and then not have enough latex actually holding onto your skin. Nice. That is looking so freaking good. So now before we add the fake blood, I'm going to add some redness to this. I'm gonna kind of lightly apply that around the bite and over that border where you can kind of see where the latex stops. This will help it not be as obvious. I'm also gonna get some of that red shadow right in the middle and kind of keep that vibrant. That'll just add a nice background to the blood scab. I'm also gonna add a little bit of purple to the very center as well to create more depth. So the way that I scoop out the bloody scab is with some flat toothpicks. This is the consistency of the bloody scab. You can see that it's like kind of a solid jelly sort of consistency. So this is not gonna run down your neck. So I'm just scooping a little bit up onto this Q-tip, and I'm gonna start by placing it in the bite. Ooh, how creepy does that look? Now make sure when you put it in the bite, you don't flatten out the liquid latex. You still want it to look all torn and gross, like that. Okay, and then go ahead and start spreading the blood around the bite. And this will also help with kind of blending that border, because now it's going to be sort of covered in blood anyway. And kind of take my finger and blend it out. And then add some drips if you want to. And there you have it. You've got your vampire bites all ready and done. And you can take this as far as you want. You can add more blood and whatnot. The vampire bite is done, but this didn't happen without a fight. So I'm gonna add a gash to my forehead. So I'll be using the same technique here, just in a different shape. Okay, last layer of liquid latex on the forehead. Okay, this last layer is literally just going in the middle. While that's drying, I think I'm gonna add a little more blood to the bites. I think it's looking a little wimpy on camera now that I'm zoomed out. All right, let's do this all again on my forehead. I'm just gonna cut these little hangy ones with some scissors like that. Putting foundation over it. So again, I'm gonna add that purple, and since we have a little bit more room on this gash, I'm focusing the purple towards the edge. Ooh. I keep looking at myself in the monitor and I'm like, oh, that looks gross, but that's the point. I guess that means I'm doing a decent job, right? If I'm like freaking myself out. And then just adding a little bit of brown. So I wanna fill the middle portion in. You can leave some of that like nice and goopy toward the edges. Is YouTube gonna demonetize this for being like gory? I have no idea what the rules are on that. Uh-oh. And then I want a little bit of like, I don't know, streaking. All right, let me get into my full character and I'll be right back. Here is the finished vampire victim look. You could have so much fun with this. I was also contemplating dressing just in athleisure clothes and making it like a jogger attacked by vampire look. But besides the creative freedom that this look gives you, the best part is wearing a mask won't ruin the costume. And you can even take it up a notch by adding blood to your mask if it's a disposable one and making it part of the costume. If you try this look out for yourself, please tag me on social media. I love seeing you all recreate my looks, and tell me in the comments what are your plans this year for Halloween. Today's shout out goes to Ashley. Thanks for being a member of the Slashed Squad, and join me over in this video next to hear about the 3 serums that cleared my skin. I'll see you over there. Bye!